on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
X-ray season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that, hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I just want to live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Good morning, Grand Rising to all of you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. Happy Tuesday to you all. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm always excited to be in the studio and in the presence of my co-host with the most. Big O, what up, Big O?
Hey, good morning, Trey Holiday. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, you know, I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? Definitely better than yesterday.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? How are you?
You know what? Every day that we are above ground is a day to look up, right? That's what they say. So I'm very, very thankful. Very thankful for today.
Sometimes even when you below ground, you're still looking up.
Yeah, that's true. Truth.
All right. Want to welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show and remind you, right now is the perfect opportunity to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you know who would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. We want to give a big shout out to our partners over there at the South Seattle Emerald and also KBCS 91.3 FM over at Bellevue College. Want to remind everybody that you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. That's SoundCloud, that could be Spotify, that could be Google, that could be iTunes. Hey, hold on, make me big. There you go. We have the link to our SoundCloud in there right now. And actually, Trey, I was talking to Keith Anchor over the Soundcasting Network, who manages our podcasting for us. And he told us that, man, our numbers is like we're getting phenomenal growth in our numbers on the podcast. And people all over America and a lot of different countries, 14 countries around the world are listening to the Morning Update show. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. And, interesting enough, last week, Seattle, of course, is our number one location, but Auburn, Washington. Wow. Yeah, it's a lot of people that are listening down in Auburn as well and throughout South King County on podcasts.
I love hearing that, man, because I'm coming up here from Federal Way every day. It's a great thing because I think that this information and what we do right here on the Morning Update show is so valuable to everybody throughout Washington State, and particularly King County. So I love hearing that, man.
And I'll be honest with you, somebody in Auckland, New Zealand, and in Australia, and a few people in Finland and Belgium. I mean, it's wild. So, if you're out there, if you're listening to the Morning Update show overseas, man, drop me an email. Let me know what's going on. Omari, Omari, at whereweconverge.com. Before I get to the rest of the spiel here, we have a few in-studio guests today. We have Dr. Robert Jeffrey. Dr. Robert Jeffrey is going to be joining us. He's going to be talking about the Clean Greens program and also talking about the Northwest African American Museum. Occupation is still going on over there, so wanted to get this perspective on what's going on there at the museum. And then we're also joined by Angela Davis, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Angela Davis is going to be bringing us some information around these homicide healing circles that she is leading, and Build 206, our brothers over there at Build, are also sponsoring that. And I just think it's, in alignment with what we're always talking about here on the Morning Update show about this gun violence and how it impacts our community. It's so important. Yeah,
and healing is important as well. One, healing from the families of the victims or victims themselves. Not everybody who gets shot dies, but, victims themselves, but also healing is important as well because it's a lot of retaliatory shootings and murders that are happening, and so somewhere in there the cycle needs to be broken. And this also goes back to what we're saying is that government isn't the answer for all the problems. Community has to step up, and community has to be proactive if we're going to disrupt gun violence. So I'm really excited to hear what Angela Davis has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we say this all the time. What is it going to take for us to really begin to understand we have to save us? And I think that we love, really spotlighting and uplifting these community solutions, man. They're necessary.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, a reminder, we got a few left, so we still got our Pride shirt graphic up here. Ooh, look at you, Trey Holiday. There's Omi right there, and D'Alessandro. We still got a few black, white, and pink left. You can support black-owned independent media as well as looking good and showing your pride. You can show your pride all year round. You know what I'm saying? Not just Pride Month. You can go to whereweconverge.com/shop. Pick up a shirt right there. I always like to throw this in. It's important. I know we have a PSA that we play, but the vaccine is available. The vaccine is available in King County. We put the link right there in the comments as well as the link to the shop. Man, if you want a vaccine here in King County, it's readily available. One thing that we do see nationally and in really in other countries as well, but even here in the U.S., they said 99% of COVID deaths are people who have been unvaccinated. So we just want to make sure that you guys have the information and resources if you want to go and get vaccinated. Also, a reminder, Rainier Beach this Thursday, man. Build the beach for us, by us. Putting the link in the comments there. Trey Holiday, a lot of times people talk about, man, stuff gets built, stuff happens. They don't communicate with the community until afterwards, everything else. I got to give these guys at Rainier Beach some props. I mean, they're really trying to get the information out there 18 months before groundbreaking to get people involved in the process. Anything from black contractors to people in the community, youth engagement, mentorships, apprenticeships.
Yeah, this is, going that extra mile. And I think it's so important that we are, able to see this as an example for all of the developers out there that are looking to do business in communities. It's important to involve those communities in it. And I got to say, too, when I was going to school and getting part of my degree in urban studies, community-centric development and design was not a part of the pedagogy. So I love being able to see companies be innovative in this regard. And we do have community groups that are really concerned about how how their neighborhood is being built up kind of around them without them. And so at this point, it's really important that there is a direct and intentionality around including the community. These guys are doing that on this project.
Yeah, and we're challenging you, especially those of you in the South End that live by Rainier Beach, or if you own a business and you're in the construction field or one of the fields that feed into that ecosystem, we are challenging you. Be there. Go to these info sessions. You know what I'm saying? It's a $160 million project. Let's not leave any money on the table. But the only way that's going to happen is if people get involved. So
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. So Trey Holiday, we're taking the show back out on the road, right?
Yeah.
I've been having fun getting out the studio, right?
It's nice, man. It's nice. It reminds me of our days in the chop. Man, every day we were outside, brother. And it just takes me back to the good old days, not the crazy
I was
ones.
say, like, man, you just using all these triggering terms here this morning on the Morning Update show. You know what I'm saying? I mean, where else have we been that's been pleasant? It takes me back to the 2 weeks that we broadcast from the Liberty Bank building.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a total pleasant memory. Well, so this Friday, actually, we'll let the video tell you. The Morning Update show is heading back out on the road, and this time we're docking at Pier 62 as we broadcast live from the Seattle waterfront. Come out and join us this Friday at 11 a.m. from Pier 62 as we check in with waterfront businesses and check out all the many free family-friendly activities occurring all summer long. That's this Friday, July 9th at 11 a.m. at Pier 62. See you there. All right. Looks like the audio is a little low on that, so we'll fix it for the rerun. But yeah, we're at Pier 62. We're at the waterfront this Friday. Me and you on the Morning Update show, and then Saturday there's the waterfront block party, and that's from 4 to 7, and that's going to actually be hosted by Besa from the Rewind with Besa and G. Prez Aspie. And so you'll find Converge there on Friday and Saturday. How you feeling about going to the waterfront?
Man, I'm excited, man. I'm going to be there both days. I'm really excited because we are seeing that vibrancy kick back up at the waterfront. Again, construction, COVID, everything has been kind of impacting so many different things, but really construction down there has made people be like, I don't know if things are open. So I love that we're going to be there, man, and showcasing, some of the vibrancy that's coming back. And, shout out to the friends at the waterfront, man. They've been trying to make sure that the messages is out there and keeping things alive, man.
Yeah. That's true. And I also, I would give a shout out to us right here. I'd be like, hey, look, man, you guys ain't going to open this waterfront and not have a space there for people that look like us.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? And, this is, man, it's public space. It's public dollars. It's public everything. And so, man, we're publicly going to be broadcasting there. And, all due credit, though, the Friends of the Waterfront has been fairly intentional about wanting to include black folks, and I guess you would say people of color, and everything else. So, man, we're going to go down there. It's a lot of people, especially if you're from Seattle. I know it's a lot of people who transplanted here, but if you're from Seattle and you grew up here in Seattle, the waterfront is part and parcel of your memories. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a lot of us that grew up right down there on the waterfront. I go way back to when the old school streetcar used to go down on the waterfront.
Yeah, absolutely. I got so many memories down there. And one of the things that I love about being a parent is, recreating some things with your kids and bringing them into, spaces that were so important to you as you were growing up. And I got to say, I remember being a teenager, man, and we'd go down there to the Red Robin at the waterfront. We thought we was popping it, man.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Almost so many of my friends had birthday parties there that was the spot to go to. And it just felt like you were being more upscale because you had the water view, you'd go out and take pictures before and after dinner. Man, it was a whole thing.
Let me tell you something. whether you want to say that, waterfront created by God, if you want to be scientific, waterfront Puget Sound, which was dug out by glaciers and filled up when the glaciers receded, in school geology. Either way, that waterfront is for everybody. You see what I'm saying? The infrastructure built on top of it was built by man, but believe me, everything that you see down there, there's a higher power behind it. And that waterfront is here for everybody. And you know what I'm saying? People shouldn't feel that they aren't welcome or there's nothing for them there at the waterfront. Speaking of memories, I remember, like, man, that was a big deal going out to waterfront if we got to go to Frankfurter and get a hot dog, yo. That was a big, man, it was a big deal. Because, you know, like, Seattle was a kid city back then. It was a kid's place. You know, kids ride free, you go downtown. You could be down there almost, all day. And then, like, sometimes, my mom, she would take us on the ferry because the ferry was, like, an easy, affordable getaway from the city. So you get on the ferry, go over to Bainbridge Island or Bremerton, sail right back, and then maybe get a Frankfurter or something down there on the waterfront. So I personally got lots of good memories down there, and I'm excited to get to Pier 62.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and when you talk about it too, I think one of the things that we never want to take for granted is the beautiful nature we have here in the state of Washington and in the city of Seattle. I mean, every state in the nation doesn't have that, man. I think about landlocked states all the time. And the fact that we have this amazing pier, this amazing waterfront, we should always take advantage of it, man.
Yeah, and not to get too much on subject, people don't realize, you know what I'm saying? We have the Olympic mountain range here. We have the Cascades here. We have a rainforest. I think it's the only rainforest in the northern hemisphere, except up there in the Olympics. I mean, you've got the Puget Sound. You've got over in Eastern Washington. And speaking of Eastern Washington, I'm just throwing this out here real quick. It's a teaser. Don't be surprised when you see us in Spokane.
Hey, Converge takes over Washington, baby.
I'm just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? We got a good following over there in Spokane, and don't be surprised, Trey Holiday, if it's me and you sitting over there in Spokane. And
I'm ready.
I know you stay ready. So sometime soon. So like I said before, we've got two guests here on the show today. We got Dr. Robert Jeffrey and we've got Angela Davis. And yeah, I think that we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. You ready for it?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
You stay ready. Look, you came wearing your combat fatigues today. I'm asking you if you're ready. You stay ready over there.
Always ready, Betty.
All right, good stuff. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're joined by Dr. Robert Jeffrey. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey, everybody. We all know that COVID-19 has had a major impact on everything this year, even energy bills. Puget Sound Energy understands the ongoing struggle that's facing its customers. And this is why they're offering a COVID bill assistance program of up to $2,500 per qualified customer. If you or anyone you know are currently behind on energy bills, please contact PSC today to discuss all of the assistance options available. Visit psc.com/COVID to learn more.
Hey guys, it's Besa Gordon from Converge Media. You can catch me on my show Rewind with Besa, which airs every other Saturday at 2 p.m. anywhere you watch Converge Media. Now, I know a lot of us still have questions about the COVID-19 vaccine. However, here are a couple things you don't have to question. Everyone 12 years and older in Washington State are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. It's free, and you don't even need insurance or citizenship status to get vaccinated. If you still have questions, and I know you probably do, you can visit kingcounty.gov/COVID for additional information. You can also call the King County COVID-19 call center at 206-477-3977 to get COVID-19 and the vaccination questions answered, get translation services if needed, set up an in-home vaccination appointment for yourself or someone you know may not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons. Look, with summer being here, now is the time to get all your COVID-19 vaccination questions answered so we can all get out the house and live our best lives again.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And you saw right there in that ad, like I said, a good way to support Black-owned independent media while looking fresh. is, man, pick up some merch. You can go to whereweconverge.com/shop. And Cuddy, if you order it now or in the next few hours, Cuddy will make sure that it gets mailed out to you today. We're real fast on getting stuff out to people. Joined now on the set by Dr. Robert Jeffrey, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine.
Yeah, welcome to the Morning Update Show.
Oh, hey, it's a pleasure being here. I've been following you. You're doing great work.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. And, it's always good when we get people in from community. Yeah. Community is one of those words here in Seattle that's thrown around everywhere. People are like, oh, community. But it's always good to someone like yourself who actually represents community members as the head of a church and different organizations here to get information and feedback directly, literally from the streets. I know we're going to talk about two things here. We're talking about the Clean Greens program, but also the bigger issue we want to talk about today is what's going on over there at the Northwest African American Museum and everything else. We'll get to that second. What I wanted to talk to you about first, though, is, this Clean Greens program. It's a lot of people in our community who, man, they're trying to do better with their diet. They're also trying to support black businesses and black farmers, whether on a micro level or macro level. Why don't you tell us about Clean Greens?
Well, Clean Greens is we've been doing it for 14 years. We have a farm in Duval. We farm now about 6-7 acres right now. We have possibility to farm in 20 acres. We just don't have the staff to do the 20 acres, but we do about 6-7 acres. Last year we gave away about 9 tons of food. We grow all kinds of vegetables. Any vegetable that can be grown in the Pacific Northwest, we grow it, and we bring the food in from the farm on the weekends every Saturday, 11 to 3, and we give it away to people. It's supported by CSAs, group of people who pay for their vegetables. And we have right now about 60 CSAs or so, and they support the program. And we began to give the vegetables away last year because of COVID, and we felt that people needed to really beef up their diet and eat a lot of fresh vegetables in order to protect them from COVID. But then we decided just to give it away.
So you guys got a farm that's 6 acres, go up to 20 acres. You're growing all kinds of vegetables there. You last year, what'd you say?
We gave away about 9 tons.
And so for people out there on the old math, that's 18,000 pounds. 18,000 pounds. You guys just operate this? This is like. This is a big deal. I didn't realize. I thought that this was, because in the community, which is great, we have very small scale operations, people doing stuff in their backyard, and bigger. This is a big operation you guys got going.
It's a pretty big operation. We right now this year we're going to move into packaging, food processing, where we're going to package mixed salads. We have a.
So we'll be able to get our mixed salads from you then.
But we're gonna be selling those.
I'm ready to pay. Listen, everybody watching right now is ready to pay the fee.
We're gonna be selling the mixed salads. We're gonna be putting them on, trying to get them in the stores. Clean Greens mixed salads. We're putting that thing together now. We probably have that together before October.
When you guys get that together and you're ready to put it in the stores, you give us a heads up.
I sure will. To launch
we want to do our part.
I sure will.
To make sure.
I sure will.
We want to do our part to make sure it gets into the stores.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the stores in our community.
Right. And so if we can be helpful in making sure that it gets in the stores, but 2, we want to do our part to raise awearness around it. And man, let's drive people over there to get your salad packaging and everything else.
Because these are jobs. I mean, if we're successful with the processing, there'll be jobs for, and all of our staff, primarily African American people.
I am so happy to hear this. So it's okay if me and Jake Gravbrot and Cuddy and Ike and we go up there.
Come over and get some greens on Saturday. Every Saturday, 11 to 3. You can come over there and get whatever you want.
Man, you ain't saying nothing. You know who's even happier to hear this? That? Is my mom. My mama watched the show every day, right? And I know my mama's like, well, this boy gonna get some vegetables now.
Well, You got to eat you got to eat your vegetables. You know, my mom told me that. I didn't realize that until I was grown and got divertic colitis from eating processed foods and got out of the hospital. I met some black guys who told me about farming, and they hooked me on farming, man. 3 old black men, and they started it, and then they couldn't go on with it, and so we went out there and kept it going for 14 years. So
14 years.
yeah, we've been doing it for 14 years.
Man, I gotta just look at some of these comments here. People are like, "Yo, this is hot," because I'm sitting here like, "Wow, this is."
It was run most of that time by a lady, and I want to shout out to her, Lottie Cross, who passed away last year. And that's when we started giving the food away in her honor. Miss Lottie Cross, she ran the farm for at least 12 years of those 11 years of those 14 years. She ran the farm until she passed away. As a matter of fact, when she passed away, she was getting ready to go down to the farm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she, we give an award out every year in her honor, a black lady who gave everything she had to that farm. And we don't ever want to get on any show and talk about the farm without talking about Miss Lottie Cross.
Man, say that.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, well, we're definitely going to plan a field trip up there and go
come out there and help us weed.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you see all these young people
around here. It's not all glorious
here.
work out there. It's weeding out there, man.
Hey,
and most of the stuff we do by hand. Up until about 4 or 5 years ago, we did everything by hand. But then we bought tractors and stuff. So
yeah, I went to college down in North Carolina, in rural North Carolina, so I know about getting in that field.
Yeah, most black people our genetic stream comes from the farm, from planting and growing, even if it goes back to Africa, and that's pretty much why they brought us over here, because they didn't know what they were doing. But so we, naturally we can do this stuff. I know that for a fact because. I grew up in the city, and naturally, when we went out there, they said, "You'll never last." But we've been there 14 years, so.
Let the church say amen.
Amen.
All right, so we got another thing to talk to you about.
Yeah.
It's really
You're not gonna like me so much after this.
No, well, the thing is, it's not even about me liking or disliking.
Yeah.
I get so many different kind of people on this show.
Okay.
That, but this is a platform here, and like I said, you're a member clearly of the community and representing members in the community. And so, wanted to talk to you here. One of the things I know you wanted to discuss was the Northwest African American Museum and the occupation out in front of Northwest African American Museum. I guess first I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts around this?
I just got some notes here, and because I want to do the notes because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody.
Right.
I just have some problems. I have some problems, and I want to just outline them. The first problem I have is I disagree with the notion of you got to be born in Seattle to make a contribution. This nativism, which is the kind of attack that is going on against the people, the present director. I think that's a problem because that's the same notion that white supremacists use. It's the same notion that Trump used. I mean, to get Mexicans out of the country. Nativism is not a strategy for our community. We need all hands on board. We can't just pick and choose if you were born here, if you're not born here. And I think that Lanisha is a great person, and she's doing a great job. Also, I have a problem with threatening black women. I have a serious problem with that. I think every man who abuses his wife has an excuse for that abuse. But the problem is that 40% of black women will experience domestic violence in this time, in their lifetime. 2.5 times more likely to be murdered by black men. And 92% of black women are killed by black men. So I have a problem when we put black women in the crossfires where they can be affected violently. That's just a problem for me. And I think in this case, it's two organizations headed by 2 black women. Now, what is being contested happened before they came. And they are now in the crossfires. And basically, they've been threatened. They have been literally threatened, and they're being threatened by the very fact they're in the crossfires, that we put them in that place. Another problem I have is putting black leaders in position, black women leaders in position to have to call the police on black men. I think that's unfair to black women. You know, I was reading a story about Megan Thee Stallions, whose boyfriend shot her in the foot. And when the police came, she said she told him a lie. And she told him a lie because she was afraid of what the police was going to do to her boyfriend. And I think that we can't continue to put black women in a position where they either have to take what we do to them, call the police on us. And many of them are reluctant to do that because they know what the police are. The police are murderers of black men, historically. And we don't want, no woman wants that, no black woman wants that on her conscience. Another thing I have is that creating the environment that sets a terrible example for our young people. When we are fighting each other like this out in the open, there are 50 people murdered in the city of Seattle. 49% of those were African-American kids between the ages of 18 and 40. And if we are fighting for turf, if we can't resolve our issues, what are we saying to our kids? They're fighting for turf. They're fighting for turf. They're fighting each other for turf. They have grievances with each other. They have legitimate grievances, you know. But we can't lead them doing the same thing that they're doing. Also, I think that this whole occupation is diverting the attention away from the pressing issues of our community. For example, before this occupation started, we were engaged in police reform. Legitimately engaged. The whole community was engaged in trying to reform the police. But now the community is divided about this occupation, and the police are getting away scot-free. To me, that's a problem. Another problem I have is the whole issue of economic justice. We need to be pressing that issue. We need to be pressing the issue that 13% of the population, we have 13% of the population of this country, but 40% of the homelessness. We need to be pressing the problem of gentrification and the problem of reparations. And finally, we all have grievances. In 1995, they blew up my church, blew it up.
Who's they?
I don't know. The fire department said it was an accident. The lady across the street said the fire shot all the way to her window. Norm Rice was mayor. Nothing was done about it. While we were building, somebody set another fire in the basement that sent black smoke billowing through all of the ventilation system. We had to spend over $250,000 to clean it out. When you talk about grievances, all of us got grievances. But what are we going to do? Are we going to stop and impede the progress of our community because of our grievances? Or are we going to fight in the right way? And I think that if we want to fight grievances, there are ways to do it. We can negotiate. We can set up panels for negotiation. We can do mediation. We can do arbitration. We can resolve it in court. There are peaceful ways to deal with our problems as a community. And I think we need to teach our young people those peaceful ways.
Right. And so a few questions here and also some context for some of our viewers. Some of our viewers here in the community, they're well versed on what's going on at the Northwest African American Museum. So others might not be. Some people, we had an interview I did with Omari Tahir. It was about an hour-long interview. Also talked to Meriwether over at the Urban League. And of course, Patrice from NAM has been on here a few times as well. But what do you feel are the next steps for around us? I mean, you've brought some points here that that you've broken down as to ways forward. That building was occupied from Juneteenth. The front of the building was occupied from Juneteenth of last year until just a few months ago, when the sheriff moved some of the occupants out. It's still quasi-occupied right now. I was just there the other day for an event. But where do you see this moving forward? Where do you see it going? I know that you said the things that you want to happen, but I mean, where do you see it going, and what role are you trying to play in getting a resolution?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to say that I respect Omari and his contribution to this community. I'm not against Omari. or anybody who was a part of the original occupation. I mean, I wasn't here at that time, but I came after that time, and I was supporting the museum during that time, and I even allowed some of the meetings to happen in the church, the negotiation meetings. And I do think that there was some injustice done. I mean, I'm not naive about that, but what I am clear about is that we cannot. This situation is untenable. We cannot have a situation like this where black women are caught in the crossfires. And
maybe you might want to explain that then to some of our audience. Like I said, people who are on the inside of this, we have a lot of information, but you know, you're talking to people who might not be aware.
Well, we have a black lady who is director of the museum, who knew nothing about all of this prior stuff, who is now caught in the crossfire. She can't operate the business of the museum because of the occupation, and she feels threatened, literally threatened. She feels that, and she has been approached in a threatening manner by black men. And that's something that she doesn't feel comfortable in her workplace. That's not something we can, as a community, embrace and accept, especially as black men. I mean, we just can't. We have to draw the line in the sand about our black women, and we have to say that there has to be another way. And I'm willing to be a part of any mediation or any kind of fairness that works out any kind of fair solution. But that can't start as long as there's a threat of violence against black women. That can't start unless people remove themselves from the place and say, okay, let's enter into some sort of negotiation, and in a fair way. I'd be willing to do that. I'd be a part of that.
So two things. So now that the COVID restrictions are lifted, I know it was one thing when everything was already closed because of COVID. Now that the restrictions have lifted and the state is open, are you saying that NAM is unable to resume their operations because of the occupation occurring out in front?
Well, women feeling threatened in the workplace is a serious matter. And this woman feels threatened. She feels that her life is threatened, her well-being is threatened. She doesn't want to be somebody in her face saying negative things to her every day when she goes to work. And the environment there, I mean, you have people, I don't really want to be too graphic about it, but I mean, there are no porta potties there. So, I mean, what's going on there? So I'm saying she's a black woman, and proud black woman, who basically doesn't feel that she has to endure this kind of affront, especially by black men. And she would be the first to say that the museum needs a lot of work, that whoever put it together did not do the work, did not put the work in. But this woman is head of the national museums. She's head of all the black museums in the country. They voted her president. She knows where to take the museum, if given the chance. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do this work and put this work in to take the museum to where it should be. All of us can decry where it is, but somebody has to put the work in to take it where it should be. And I think she's able to do that. But she needs our support. And she definitely does not deserve to have a hostile workplace.
Right. When you talk about negotiation, I mean, people negotiate when they have like a chip, you know, and the chip that Omari Tahir's group has is the occupation. And so, you know, do you think that's viable when you say remove themselves and then negotiate? Because now they've kind of given up their chip if you're going to go into a negotiation.
Well, I think that a chip that is premised on and based on the threat of violence against a black woman and intimidation of a black woman is not a chip. Mm. And I think that that's the same chip that abusers use in their homes every day, that I can beat you up if you don't do what I say. That's not a chip. That to me is something that we cannot respect and give any respect to. So there can't be a negotiation around that. I think that their claim or their legitimate sense of being aggrieved, of being disrespected and being hurt is a chip. For example, right now, in 1969, the city took land from New Hope Baptist Church illegitimately. And in that illegitimate claim, they called black people in the central area the ignorant. They call them the people that are not needing sympathy. I mean, we have the documents. Went to the archives. We got all the documents. I'll send you a copy of the documents if I get your email. I'll send you a copy of what they said in this report. And all of this gentrification is coming from that report, 1969. But they took land from the church. We're appealing that. We're trying to get that land back. And we're going through processes, both legal and community-based processes. I think that there are processes that we go through. I think that Amari his picture should be front and center in that museum. I think that his story should be front and center in that museum. I think that he has chips without entering into violence in this way. But I think that those chips can't be played until this is taken away.
All right. Well, this is we've been literally following this story for a year, and I mean, one thing about Converge is we've given people on both sides of this issue airtime to be able to really voice their opinion. And I think that's important. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
I hope that don't stop y'all from coming and getting some greens.
No, I mean, this the thing is, I mean, you'll find that like my role here is to really be objective and to hear from as many
you
people.
have been fair.
Yeah,
I agree.
And not only in community.
I was talking about your listeners.
Oh, well, no, we got a diverse group of listeners, but
Okay, great.
but like not only in community, but even in government.
Okay,
you know what I'm
great.
saying? I mean, I get the mayor on here, I get the police
Great,
chief out here, I
great,
get city council out here, and sometimes the audience is like, I can't believe you, but
I think
this
you're
is what
doing
we're
it.
supposed to do.
I've been following you since the encampment.
Right.
Yeah, and I have to admit I started following you after that. But I think you're a fair person, and that's the reason why I wanted to come on and talk. Because I thought that you've done a very great, very good quality job in terms of journalism. So
Well, thank you.
I have utmost respect.
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna be out there. We definitely getting our vegetables, but
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I
but-
have asthma. I have asthma, so.
I know it's kind of stuffy in
Yeah,
here,
it's
so
kinda-
we'll wrap it up for you, Dr. Jeffrey. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Amari.
No problem.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a quick break right now. When we come back, Trey Holiday is sitting down with Angela Davis. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and joining me in studio right now is Angela Davis. I'm going to say, Angela, you wear many hats, and thank you so much for making time in your schedule to be with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor.
Absolutely. Tell the folks, you have several different titles. I want to make sure you get them right. Just tell the folks a couple of the things that you're really doing out here in community.
Okay, well, for one thing, I am the community liaison for the Institute of African Centered Thought. And that is working on, quite a few things within that institute. The other thing that I do is I am a Restorative Circle collaborator and organizer. And I have an organization called Community Connection Seattle Unlimited, which is now being launched.
Oh, wow. I mean, you know what? I've seen you in so many different community spaces. It does not surprise me that you wear multiple hats. And I'm really thankful that, you've really done such a great job of keeping me informed about the ways that these circles are really helping our community and how you're shaping some of the narrative around what healing really looks like. Let's get into what these homicide healing circles are all about.
Well, first of all, before I even get into that, I'd like to say that there are a lot of people that are doing a lot of amazing and phenomenal circles of various types. The homicide healing circles are a place where we can actually collectively begin to process multiple issues that have to be surrounded around homicide. And that has not really been a specific pointed place and strategy. Yeah. And how do we unpack, national continual visualization of the officer Chauvin having his knee on the neck of George Floyd? How do we process that? Where do we process that? How do we look at the things that have been going on so many levels? It's not just the homicides that seem to spike during the summer. It's also about the other types of homicide that are related to domestic violence, the stuff that is going on because we haven't been taught emotional regulation and all of those things. And then we have the pandemic. How are we coping with those things? Yeah. And so the flushing out of the homicide healing circles is a connection of me taking some of the classes with the Institute of African Centered Thought, and that was the ancestral healing, trauma healing circles, and looking at how deep the colonization has caused us to internalize how we actually view each other as other instead of collectives. Yeah. And how do we actually heal from that? Yeah. And there's multiple levels and multiple layers about that. And how does colonization continue to pre-frame and preset a conditioning of which we function? Yeah. And so that continual process is what the ancestral healing looks at. How do we continue to integrate the individualistic mindset that we are a part of right now, when we as a community and as a diaspora, we are continually looking at, we are a collective. So how do we institute that collective? Yeah. And a healing circle has been a part of our community for centuries, all indigenous cultures. And so that is how the homicide healing circles came about. Colonization has gone on to every four corners of the globe and has gone in to strip indigenous cultures of what it is. And then they set in this white Eurocentric America a framework that is an individualistic mindset of compartmentalizing our issues, our problems, when in humanity we are mind, we are body, we are soul, and we are spirit. And so how do we integrate and collectively begin to unravel all of these things so that we can heal? We're all in varying stages of what it is that we do and say. So how do we get there? Yes. So a homicide healing circle is just a spark. And it's not just me. It's a collective. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is beautiful because the way you just described that, it really paints the picture of not just the importance of it, but the history of it. That this is really a continuation. In Black community, often we talk about it takes a village, right? And what does it look like for us to be recreating what that village was? And I think that these healing circles are a part of recreating that village mentality. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. It absolutely is. As you know, as the facilitator, Dr. Mims' Critical Conversations and what that has done from the beginning up until now.
Yeah.
Just the continuity of recognizing that there is a collective place on a regular, continuous space for us to come together.
Yeah.
Just knowing that that exists is powerful. And so, when we have something like a homicide, and it's traumatizing to me if I drive in Renton or Skyway, and then all of a sudden I see a bunch of candles and an empty bottle of Hennessy in the parking lot. That's another life. That's somebody's mother, somebody's child, somebody's relative. That's a life that has been gone. And then the people that have been traumatized or impacted by that, then they have some issues that have to be recovered as well.
Yeah.
And if we don't take the time to speak those things out so that they don't lodge in the seat of our souls, then that's where it becomes a perpetuation.
Wow. This is why, we talk about the effects of gun violence on our community here on the Morning Update show all the time, because we realize as soon as we hear that there was another shooting, I think so many in Black community and Black families, we seize up a little because we're like, oh no, we're just waiting to hear if this is somebody I know, somebody
Yes.
I grew up with, somebody my
Right.
mom knows, my dad knows, my brothers know. Like you just immediately it takes your breath away a little bit. And there needs to be a way to really work through a lot of that, because I think we've become so used to so much of this.
Yes.
How much of the healing circles really address that kind of part of it, where it's like we have really kind of shaped ourselves around the trauma of homicide?
Right, we have normalized it when it's not normal. It's not normal to be waiting for the next shoe to drop to find out, oh, here's another summer, here's another time that somebody else's life is going to be done. It's really a painful thing. And so the healing circles are designed to be able to provide people a space to actually begin to verbalize what they're internally holding on to, and also to begin to have people know that they are not alone. That is the most detrimental thing about individualistic mindset. You are separated from your community, where you get that collective healing energy and transform a tragedy into something.
Yeah.
When do you take a pain of something and make it into a purpose? And so that is the thing, And so the other thing is about the Institute of African-Centered Thought is all working on developing a African-centered, Black-centered mental wellness program. The current mental wellness program, I do not tell anybody, do not go. I'm saying that the Institute of African Centered Thought is truly developing what the pieces of the white Eurocentric model does not acknowledge.
Wow. And I think that that's part of, that brings us into the facilitator training,
Yes.
which I was able to take part of. But, that's another piece of this. And before we move on to it, I want to be able to use the graphic so you can tell people about the next upcoming Homicide Healing
Sure.
Circle, and then we'll get right into the training.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and run that graphic. So how can people participate?
Okay, so the Homicide Healing Circles are the second Friday of every month. And this Friday, we are having it, and they will be virtual for a while. And on the flyer, it had the location and the information. If you're interested, it is co-sponsored this Friday, 6:30 to 8, via Zoom, and it's being sponsored by Build, and it will be co-facilitated with Rico Bembry of Bembry Consulting Services. And if you were not able to access the flyer, you can also contact Rico Bembry, whose number is on the flyer, and that is 206-850-3626.
Wow. And they can find information at, what is the IACT website?
And the IACT website is IACTNOW0119 at gmail.com.
All right. So that's the email where people can go. And I think that, as you were just talking, there is a greater work being done through IAC. And so before I let you go, I know that there's a brunch happening, a ceremony for the certificates of one of the cohorts of this facilitator training. But it's important that we have more people from the community that can get the training necessary to facilitate these types of healing circles. And that's what this is about, right?
Yeah, this is about building capacity so that we can normalize healing circles, so that we are doing community-led solutions, so that we are taking, the ability to alter our norm of how we deal with things.
Yeah.
And so this Saturday from 1:30 to 4, there will be a certificate ceremony for those that have been taking the Ancestral Healing Circle training and those that have been taking the Ancestral Healing Facilitation courses. And it's just really necessary that we all support what everyone else is doing. And this ceremony is just not only to talk about the circles, but to also have people be made more aware of what else is going to be happening with the Institute of African Centered Thought on many levels in the future.
Well, you guys are doing great work at IACT, and I'm so glad. Me and you have talked about you coming on for so long, and so I'm just so thankful that you had the foresight to do these homicide healing circles, and that IACT really had the foresight to say we need to bring African Centered Thought to the forefront for our people, because there's so many different healing mechanisms in that. So, Angela, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys heard it right here from Angela herself. Clearly, IACT is finding ways for them to be part of the solutions necessary to heal our community. And, stay tuned, because after this short break, I get to bring my co-host, Big O, back onto the set. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Thank you.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And joining me to end this amazing show is my guy, Big O. What up, Big O?
Yeah, man, I'm back. What an efficient use of time.
Yeah.
We had Dr. Jeffrey here. We had Angela Davis. Two great conversations, informative and insightful. Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. And I love how, there's this segment on clean greens, which is another way of healing our community. Then we got this healing circles. Man, there's a healing all around today.
Yeah, and, this reinforces as well that, government definitely has a role to play in things, but government isn't going to solve all of our problems. And I'm really always excited when we have members of the community who are willing to take it upon themselves to whether it's gun violence disruption or healing of community, whether it's dispute resolution, whether it's healthy eating. Like, we need to continue to empower ourselves to be the solution that we're looking for.
Yeah, we really do. And I think that, your message there is so clear. We talk about it all the time, that these solutions are actually made better when they have this diverse set of voices that are engaged in the process. and really, again, that there's opportunities to come from a community perspective. These top-down approaches haven't worked, so we really got to learn from that.
All right, we're at the top of the hour, Trey Holiday. Any last words before we get out of here?
For me, clearly Dr. Jeffrey, Angela Davis, they're both seeing themselves as part of the solution and creating and crafting new solutions, being innovative about that and about their approaches. You guys should be inspired to figure out what it is that you can do to see yourself as part of the solution as they have.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. What's today, Tuesday?
Yeah, just Tuesday.
No. Just Tuesday, man. No programming notes today, which is good. So we got a bunch of other stuff going on. And then on that note, I guess we'll get out of here. So I want to remind everybody to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song